My name is Richard Crawford, and I've built my career on representing luxury brands around the world. And in doing so, I've had the privilege of having some truly out-of-the-ordinary experiences. But at what cost? It's getting harder and harder to blindly ignore the impact our extravagant lifestyle is having on the planet and its people. So I've decided to investigate whether there really is a sustainable way to visit the wonders of the world but still have extraordinary luxury. Can I have globe-trotting adventures without leaving a significant footprint? Well, let's find out. And by using the basic principles that define ecotourism, which are minimal impact, sustainability, social responsibility, and of course, let's not forget overall guest experience, I will rate my travels around the planet to see if we really can make a difference. In this episode, we'll be traveling to Borneo, the third largest island in the world, in search of the critically endangered orangutan. We'll be staying at the Sukao Rainforest Lodge, which is situated right in the middle of the wilderness where the Bornean orangutans make their home. Whilst there, we'll meet some other incredible creatures, including the fascinating proboscis monkey. We'll also visit the source of one of the world's most unusual delicacies, bird's nest soup. A century ago, there were estimated to be about 250,000 orangutans in the wild, but today it's less than half of that, and it's becoming rarer and rarer to see these animals in the wild. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed. Join me as together we go in search of these intelligent and beautiful great apes. Help! Well, here I am. I finally made it to Borneo, and oh wow, heat and humidity. I tell you what, it's been an epic journey up until this point. I actually think I might have went the wrong way. I should have went west around the globe instead of east. But I'm not quite where I need to be yet. I still have to take a road trip, get on a riverboat, probably an elephant and a llama, who knows? But Borneo Eco Tours, this must be me. How are you, man? Richard Crawford.
Yeah, my name is Chu. Nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet you. Let's get loaded up and get ready to go. So here we are at last in Borneo. Now, Borneo is the third largest island in the world, third only to Greenland and New Guinea. And it actually belongs to 3 different countries. The majority of the south, about 70% actually of the island, belongs to Indonesia. And then there's a very small country on the west coast, Brunei. Now, the northern eastern part belongs to Malaysia, and in fact we're in Sabah, which is the Malaysian state, in the northeast corner of the island. Now, from Sandakan Airport, where we just landed, to the Rainforest Lodge is about 2 hours. 2 ways to get there, either by boat up the river, which I'm sure would have been very, very scenic and enjoyable. But I actually wanted to take the road because there was something that I wanted to see for myself. And in fact, this is it right here. If we can just pull over right here, this is what I want to show you guys. Ugh. So this is why I wanted to stop, and this is what I wanted to show you. Palm trees, and lots of them. Now, palm trees normally have a positive connotation. You're on the beach in Hawaii and the palm trees are swaying in the breeze. Fantastic. Here in Malaysia, not so much. Why? Well, orangutans don't live in palm trees. And there are 3 types of orangutans in the world. 2 of them in Sumatra and 1 of them right here in Borneo. Now, palm trees produce palm oil, and it's a $40 billion a year industry. There are 60 million tons of palm oil distributed throughout the world. Indonesia is the largest producer, but Malaysia is the largest exporter of palm trees. Now, there are 5 million hectares in Malaysia alone where palm trees are growing. And why is that a problem? It's because palm trees don't grow indigenous to Malaysia, which means 5 million hectares of Malaysia has been deforested. And of course, that's a problem for the orangutans. So, in summary, palm trees in Hawaii, great. Palm trees in Malaysia, not so much.
Hello there.
Hey, how are you?
How are you?
Good, good. I'm Richard Crawford.
I'm Raman. I will be your guide.
Raman, very nice to meet you.
Nice
You're my
to meet
guide?
you too, yeah.
Yeah, so my life is in your hands for the next few days then, right?
Yes.
Well, it's not that valuable, so you don't have to worry about it.
Oh, yeah. So how's your flight?
The last leg of my journey was a short boat trip into the heart of the Sukal rainforest. The Bornean waterways play a vital role in both the ecosystem and economy of the area.
This is the Kinabatangan River that we're on now, which is the longest river in Borneo, at about 560 kilometers. And that's actually where the Sukal Rainforest Lodge is. It's because there's a very, very dense area for biodiversity and lots of wild animals. So hopefully I'll get to see all of that in my time here.
Mind your step.
Thank you. Fantastic. Literally.
Big step. Yeah.
Home sweet
Welcome.
home for the next couple of days, right?
Yeah, welcome to Sukal Rainforest Lodge. Yeah.
And look at that. National Geographic Unique Lodges of the World. And that literally is a good sign. The story of the Sukal Rainforest Lodge starts in the early 1990s with a gentleman by the name of Albert Teal. Now, Albert actually started a Borneo rainforest touring company, but he realized very quickly that he couldn't exactly expect his guests to come in to the middle of the Borneo rainforest without offering some kind of headquarters or accommodations. So long story short, he set out to buy some property and build a lodge. Now, his first couple of attempts actually failed. And one day he was on a fishing boat in the middle of the river, and the fishing captain suggested to him that his family might actually be selling some property. And Albert, being the tenacious fellow that he is, jumped on the opportunity, bought the land, and ultimately the lodge is here today. Now, it's won very many accolades around the world for being an eco-lodge, including Travel Life's Gold certification for sustainable accommodation, also Asia's leading green hotel at the World Travel Awards. But it hasn't just been recognised as being an eco-lodge, it's also been recognised just for its accommodation, including TripAdvisor's Hall of Fame. It's also now one of Nat Geo's unique lodges of the world. Now, the property itself sits right on the banks of the Kinabatangan River. It consists of 20 original superior suites, and now since 2017, an additional 20 luxury villas. And as everything else you would expect on a property like this, it has a couple of swimming pools, it has a restaurant, it has a bar, and it even has a health spa. And look at this, I'm right at my villa. Oh wow. You know, the first thing that really strikes me is each villa has a very low visual impact on its environment. And yes, that's a good sign. The collection tanks, the freshwater, fresh rainwater collection tanks. And each villa is actually made from materials sourced locally. Now, also another little point of interest, all of the boardwalks here are all reclaimed wood. They've gone to old buildings from the 1950s and 60s that are actually made out of logs, taken those logs and cut them into planks and used them for the boardwalk. But let's go have a look at the villa. Oh wow, yes, well, 2-bedroom villa, very spacious and very airy, I must say, and my room is over here. And oh wow, look at that. I'm in the Sir David Attenborough room. Wow, do I feel privileged. Let's go check it out. Wow. I have to say I'm very pleasantly surprised considering we're in the middle of the Borneo rainforest. This is really quite luxurious. You know, I mentioned earlier that all of the villas are actually made from local materials, but so are the furnishings and all the fixings. And the design is pretty simple. This high roof and this fan allows for a good natural airflow, but if you prefer air conditioning, they have that also. Now, every room also has their own little balcony here looking right out into the rainforest, and each room can be set up as a king or twin. And of course, every room has an ensuite. Wow, very big bathroom, quite impressive. You know, I do have to mention that they place a lot of emphasis here on their water management, and all their waste and all their sewage actually goes into a septic tank, and they provide plenty of drinking water. But we'll get into all of that later. And quite appropriately, yes, they have a rain shower head, and this shower unit is absolutely massive, big enough for me and my cameraman. Well, I have to say, I'm really impressed with the rooms, but to be honest with you, after today's travel, I would probably sleep in the trees and feel all right about it. But I have a very early start in the morning to go find some of those elusive primates, so if you don't mind, I'm going to shut this door and get some good shut-eye. Good night.
Coming up next, I set off in search of the critically endangered Bornean orangutan.
Stop, Raymond, stop. I think I see some up there. Is that some of them up there?
Ricky, good morning. Time to go.
Is it monkey time?
Yes, it is.
Okay, I'm up. Yeah. You know, the beauty of the lodge being right on the river like this means you're already right in the middle of the Borneo rainforest. Now, they say the early bird gets the worm, and here it's a case of the early bird gets to see all the wildlife. They only really come out very early in the morning or late at night because it's too hot for them during the day. And just a little side note, you'll notice that the whole lodge is raised on these stilts, and they're pretty high, and that allows for when the river raises its level and floods. It must get pretty high.
Very.
Yeah, okay, so what are we going to go see today?
Oh, monkeys, hopefully, crocodile and hornbills.
Fantastic.
You ready?
Yes, I am.
Up to you.
Thank you, buddy.
Careful.
I got it. There we go. You can think of the Kinabatanang as a major river highway that runs through the northeast part of Borneo and the Sabah region. But the good thing about being on these little skiffs is that it gives you access to these smaller tributaries that takes you further and deeper into the rainforest and perhaps find some of the wildlife that's a little more shy. And I'm sure as we're going down here, we're going to find some stuff that's really interesting. As we slowly meander down the river, I'm really enjoying taking in this beautiful scenery. And I'm assuming that this canopy is hundreds, maybe thousands of years old. But in doing a little research, I was actually really disappointed to find out that as recently as the 1980s, this whole place was almost completely deforested. And what you're seeing now is forest regrowth. Now, they can expect this young canopy to grow to about 300 feet above the river. And fortunately, in 2002, the place was designated as a Kinabatanang Wildlife Corridor, which will protect it from deforestation from now on.
The Kinabatangan River is home to a wide range of fauna, many of which are unique to this area. In 2001, it was designated a bird sanctuary, and in addition to the orangutan, saltwater crocodile, Jose's langur, pigtail macaque, gibbon, slow loris, pygmy elephant and rhinoceros all call this area home, not to mention some very large and scary snakes. And luckily for me, I was about to come face to face, quite literally, with a very special monkey.
Oh wow, yeah, there's a whole bunch of them. Look at them. So what I'm actually experiencing now is very unique to Borneo. We're looking at a group of proboscis monkeys. Now, proboscis monkeys are endangered species and they're endemic only to Borneo. Now, the most distinguishing feature of these monkeys are their very large noses, or proboscis, hence the name. Now, in a fully grown adult, it can grow up to 4 inches long, so maybe I'm part of a proboscis monkey group. Anyway, adults can also grow to about 60 pounds, adult males that is, and adult females to about 30 pounds. Now, it's suggested by some people that the females are attracted to a louder mating call, and obviously you would think larger nose, louder mating call, therefore in the world of primates, it seems that size does matter.
Now, some of the other distinguishing factors of these monkeys is they have pot bellies, and that's because they have a big digestive system that helps them really break down the enzymes in the leaves that they eat, and that's mostly what their diet is. And I'm kind of surprised too, considering they're an endangered species. They stand out really out of the trees because their fur is bright orange, so it's not like they're well hidden. Now, they are found mostly around rivers and sea fronts, and that's because they are good swimmers. And when they're making their nests, I found out also, they'll do it right over the water. So if any predator comes up a tree, they're quite happy to jump out the tree and into the water. They're, again, pretty good swimmers. And I think there's one up there. So there's one up there that's doing some gesturing right now. And what he's doing is he's putting his neck into his shoulders and opening his mouth like this and making a noise, and that's him being quite aggressive towards me, actually. And I think the reason he's doing that is because he's intimidated by the size of my nose. But yeah, this is great. I mean, I think there's one up there, actually. There's a small baby actually suckling on its mother's teat. This is really cool. And as I mentioned, this is unique to Borneo. You won't see these guys anywhere else in the wild. So far, everything we've seen of Borneo has been from the river, but obviously there's more to the Borneo rainforest than that. And fortunately, here at the lodge, they built a 300-metre long boardwalk deep into the Borneo rainforest. It's the Hornbill Boardwalk. Now, the Borneo rainforest is actually the oldest rainforest in the world. It's about 140 million years old, and as you can imagine, one of the most biodiverse places in the world. In fact, every month, they find 3 new species in Borneo, and over the last couple of decades that's added up to about 600 species. Now, as we go back in here, we're going to see some different kinds of insects and plant and wildlife, and Rahman here is going to point some of these out to me and give me a little bit of an education, right?
Hopefully, yeah.
Let's go.
Okay, let's go.
Even though the boardwalk is comparatively short, it feels like we are deep in the forest in only a few steps, and the biodiversity of the area quickly becomes apparent. Raman teaches me which jungle fruits are safe to eat, and a little hint here, stay away from the red ones. We see an impressive strangling fig, also rather confusingly known as the Tree of Life, and then there was this little fellow. So if I hold it, it won't bite me?
No.
Oh man, that's creepy. Oh my god. Oh, it's hairy. It's like, oh my god.
Let it go to your arm.
Oh, that's so creepy.
Yep.
Oh my god. So Rahman, the spider was creepy but beautiful.
Thank you.
The tree was fascinating. But I'm in Borneo, man. I want to see an orangutan.
You will.
I will.
But first, you need to learn about them.
I've got to get a little education first. Well, how am I going to do that?
Luckily, our lodge have naturalists that will do talk about the orangutan, which is very soon.
So I can go listen to that. So the quicker I listen to that, the quicker I'll see an orangutan?
Yes.
Let's go. Let's go.
Let's go.
As we've discovered, as we visit these different eco-destinations around the world, education is a big part of conservation. And here at this eco lodge, they have a full team of guides, as well as an in-house naturalist. And they even have this little place here called the Ape Gallery, where some of the guides can give tutorials and educate the guests. And today, one of the guides is giving an education on orangutans. So let's go sit in and have a listen. The importance of educating both visitors and staff can't be underestimated, and it's actually one of the 3 core principles behind authentic eco lodges. And now I can consider myself an orangutan expert. So that was actually a very captivating little talk that I just listened to, and I got some very informative facts about orangutans. One of them is that they're very, very solitary, but they're also very affectionate. And by the way, they're up to 5 times stronger than human beings, so I might have a little hard time getting out of here. Help! As dust settles over the rainforest, not only does it become a lot more romantic, but the animals come alive. And I'm about to set off on a night river safari. And I've been told to keep my eye out for the buffyfish owl, kingfishers, monitor lizards, and of course the proboscis monkeys sleeping in the treetops. I've also been told to keep my arms and legs inside the boat at all times, which is fine with me because if there's one thing I'm absolutely terrified of, it's crocodiles. So my question is this, what's the biggest crocodile that you've ever seen out here?
Mine was about nearly 5 meters. Yeah.
For how big?
5 meters.
5 meters?
Yeah.
That's 15 feet.
Yep.
That's over 15 feet.
Yep.
Are we going to see that tonight?
Most probably not. Yeah.
Most probably not.
I only saw that one once. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's unusual actually.
My heart's fluttering.
Well,
just a little bit. The other thing is this: even on this river during the day, it's quite intimidating. I mean, it's a big, powerful river, but at night, God, it's quite nerve-wracking. I know we've got an expert driver back there with a big spotlight, but it's pretty nerve-wracking.
And there he was, the estuarine crocodile. Luckily he was out there and I was in the boat, but he did seem to be eyeing me.
Oh, well, I did thoroughly enjoy that, but I have to say, I was a little surprised at how vulnerable I actually felt out there in the pitch black sometimes on a big river like that. And I'm glad I saw a couple of little crocodiles, but I did not want to run into that 5-meter crocodile that my guide, Raman, was talking about. Otherwise, I'd never have slept tonight. But I didn't see it, so I should get a good night's sleep.
Next, I take a closer look at how it's possible to run an award-winning eco-sensitive lodge in the middle of the jungle. And later, I see the ugly side of environmental disregard when I visit a local village.
It's absolutely disgusting. I just haven't seen it this overt. I don't even know what to say. Well, that was fun. But welcome back to the Sakau Rainforest Lodge. At 140 million years, the oldest rainforest in the world, in the northeast corner of Borneo. You know, for the last couple of days, I've had the opportunity to go on several excursions and activities actually in the rainforest itself and really take in its beauty and its splendor. But it raises the age-old question: what does it take for a lodge like this to be in an environment like this without leaving a significant footprint? So I'm going to track down the in-house naturalist and property manager and find out what it is that they're doing here that makes this place so special and allows them to continue to win eco awards year after year.
For ecotourism, beside the products, well, it's, to be honest, for the safekeeping of the forest itself. Because the tourism here started around 1989 and the conservations of the area is 2005. So people like you before and you right now and the rest there and the guests that we have right now, it's actually showing the government, telling them by keeping the forest still give you a good economical value. Personally, sometimes it's all about money like that. So if we use the ecotourism here as a commercial, as important economic value, is to ensure the safekeeping of this forest like that. However, along with it, you need sustainable. Otherwise, yeah, it's not the idea of ecotourism anymore. Yeah, like we don't want to be mass tourism or over tourism, etc. So yes, why ecotourism? Is the forest, is the conservations.
The Best Society is the only NGO set up by a tour and lodge operator in Malaysia, and since its foundation in 2007 it has funded dozens of projects. A portion of every stay at the lodge is automatically donated by guests, and this is then matched by the operators. So Hallie took me to the newly constructed Sakau Ecotourism Research Centre, which is located on the Society's Borneo Land Conservancy.
So tell me, how much land are we on here?
Oh, here is 7.7 acres.
Yep.
And hopefully in the future we can find more. But the idea is it's not about the bigger land you buy, but the important part is how is the conservation value of that land?
Yeah.
Because some lands, they are not used by the wildlife such as elephants or orangutan, but this one is worth it to both for 7.7 acre. But if it's open, it's for building, if it's for plantation, it's block the elephant, which is traveling up and down river to look for food.
Yep.
Adult, they can eat 200 kilos.
That's a lot.
That's a
I
lot.
can do that sometimes for a good breakfast.
In the end, ecotourism is not about economic, it's not about income benefit only, but it's a big scope.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's related with everything around us.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for
No
showing me
problem.
this.
Yes.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Unfortunately, Malaysia ranks very, very high in the misuse of plastic. In fact, over 100 million tons. They rank 8th in the world. Now, the concept of recycling is great. However, implementation is a little difficult, even in first world countries. So you can imagine in a remote place like this, how difficult it is. However, they are doing some things here to make a difference. And in my thinly veiled attempt just to have a pina colada, one of those differences is that they've actually got rid of all plastic straws. And they're using bamboo because it grows fast, it's sustainable, and it's biodegradable. Tastes pretty good too. But they have some other things that they're implementing here too. And as I mentioned before, it is not easy, especially in a place like this. But this station right here is where they separate all the trash, and all the staff are involved in this, and they literally go through all the trash and they separate into paper, cans, glass, general waste, and they even recycle their electrical waste. And they also have a fun little policy here with the staff, where if any of the staff are caught on property with any plastic at all, they're fined 5 ringgit. But that 5 ringgit goes to the best program, so I'll drink to that. I had talked earlier about sourcing all the wood locally for the construction of the villas, but when they're setting out the footprint for this resort, they took many things into consideration. And one of the first things they did is they made sure most of the boardwalks were raised up off the floor for a couple of reasons. One, it floods here. 2, you're actually just a little further away from the mosquitoes when you're elevated slightly. And 3, it had no real impact on the forest floor itself. And as you can see, they've gone to great lengths to not disturb this forest at all. So much so that they've actually built around the trees. So the other challenge that we have out here in the middle of the rainforest is a supply of electricity. And obviously we're not on some kind of grid out here. But they address these challenges here at the lodge. And a couple of things that they do is, one, they have these candles all over the property, and they're actually using recycled cooking oil to light these candles. Secondly, there is a generator out here that runs all day and produces electricity, but it also charges up a bank of batteries, and at night they switch that generator off. Now that does a few things. First of all, it saves on fuel, and second of all, it reduces noise pollution, and the whole place is intentionally kept low with light. And let's be honest, that just makes it a whole lot more romantic.
When we return, I shop like the locals.
This is dry fish.
Dried fish.
Yeah. So they dry it.
Oh yeah.
Including the
smell it. Smells like dried fish.
And later, I venture into a cave with the highest cockroach population on Earth. Oh.
Welcome back to Borneo. Now, I spent the last few days in the middle of the Borneo rainforest, but I thought it was time to actually get out and learn a little bit about the culture and the heritage of the people who live here in Sabah. So I started here in Sandakan. Now, Sandakan is the second largest city in Sabah and has a population of about 150,000 people. Now, this is probably the last thing you'd expect to see when you talk about Borneo, but this is in fact the oldest structure in Sandakan, and the reason it's still standing actually is through a little bit of divine intervention. This was a very prosperous time in the 1880s, and the Japanese during Second World War took over all of Borneo, including Sandakan, and in their efforts to get this place back again, the Allies heavily bombed it, and one of those bombs dropped right through the roof of that church but didn't explode. So I thought this would be a good place to start and really get some information on people who work and live here. So as you can imagine, as with any port town, Sandakan is heavily reliant on fishing. And these fishing boats come in every day and bring their fresh catch in and bring it to market right here. So let's go see how good my bartering skills are.
You can tell a lot about the lifestyle of local people by visiting their market, and the Sandakan Central Market is certainly a real eye-opener. The markets get going at 3 a.m. when the fishing boats arrive and unload their catch. And my first stop was their wet market. And I must say, I've never seen such an array of aquatic species. Some of them I didn't even know you could eat.
Look how pretty that is. Look how colourful it is. Never seen that before.
Maybe I gotta stay close to the local cats because they seem to know where to find the best fish.
You know, I want to haggle here over this fish, but what am I going to do? Take this fish home with me in my suitcase? I think I'll try my luck here in the other traditional marketplace.
There are hundreds of stalls displaying row upon row of colourful fruit, vegetables, spices, and possibly more dried fish than you've ever seen in your life. And if it's been a long day, just grab one of nature's ultimate takeaway energy drinks, a coconut.
The good thing is, even though it's on a very small scale, they are reverting to a traditional way that we package their goods and carry them, and that's to put it in banana leaves. Obviously, the whole country's not doing this. Like I said, it's a very small scale, but you know, it's a start, and it's definitely a better alternative to plastic. So here we are at a very traditional style village here in Sabah, and mostly in the coastal areas. This is a water village, and as you can see, the whole village is on stilts above the water, hence the name. And this particular village is called Sim Sim. So you were actually born in this village?
Yes.
Wow. So tell me a little bit about it. Tell me about the structure and how a little village like this operates.
You know, the building, all of the residential houses are built on the stilts. So all the stilts has to be protected from the salt water. People normally have 3-4 bedrooms. Okay, normally big family live here.
Of course.
So if you have more money, you can upgrade your house. 15 years ago, there used to be less plastics, no plastic at all, but now it's very sad, as you can see.
I talked earlier in the show about Malaysia ranking very, very high in the misuse of their plastic, and here is just a perfect example of it. All of this plastic in the water, it is so in your face, and this doesn't even look like trash. It all looks brand new. It looks like people have just literally 10 minutes ago thrown it out of their window. It's absolutely disgusting. I just haven't seen it this overt. I don't even know what to say. It's all over. It's not even just here, it's just all through the bay. I'm here at the entrance of Borneo's Gomantong cave. Now, this cave is unique for a couple of reasons. First of all, every night there's a mass exodus of about 2 million bats, which you can see coming out right there. But most importantly, this is a primary source for the world's most expensive animal-produced, humanly consumed food. And here is the bird nests for bird nest soup. Now, what you see behind me are about 200,000 swiftlets that make these nests. And there's two different types of swiftlets. One of them makes a white nest, one of them makes a black nest. And the white nest actually goes for about $6,500 per pound. Now, how they make these nests is that they use their saliva, which is like a cement-like substance, and create a nest and have it stick to the inside of the cave. Now, be clear here, there's no twigs, there's no leaves, there's no little pieces of branch. It's just their saliva. Now, the Chinese have been trading birds' nests since 500 AD, so it sounds like a very, very unsustainable process. But in actual fact today, it's very sustainable. The government allows people in here 4 times a year to climb these walls and take these nests. And they only do it when the nests are empty. Okay, so the birds, they'll come and harvest the nest, the birds will come back, they'll build another nest, they'll lay their eggs, the eggs will hatch, the chicks will leave, and they'll be allowed to come in for about a week and harvest those nests again. Now, what you're not getting from watching this on television is the god-awful smell coming out of this cave. And I'm also told that it's not just bats and birds that live in there, but there's an uncountable amount of cockroaches. So I'm about to take you into a whole new world. Are you ready? Let's go. Oh, come on. Come on, man. If I've got to do it, you've got to do it.
My first challenge was to convince our cameraman Ben to get over his fear of cockroaches. Thousands and thousands of cockroaches.
Seriously, Ben? You've got a mask too? What am I not getting here? I don't get a mask.
Yeah, you're special.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Which way we go?
I don't know what everyone was complaining about. It's just a big old cave with lots of dirt on the floor. Right?
Walking.
So all of this here, I guess this is all just like soil sediment coming down from the cave, is that correct?
Yeah, actually it's guano.
No.
This is all guano.
Oh my God, so that's all bat shit.
This is kind of bat shit.
Oh.
Millions and millions of bats equals a lot of bat poo. Okay, so there's lots of bats and lots of bat poo, but luckily there aren't too many cockroaches.
I mean, that's a party of one. How is that an infestation?
Oh wait.
Oh, wait a minute, hold on. Is the floor moving?
Yep.
Oh, no.
All of them.
Ah. Oh. How you doing, man? Oh.
Like
The
again.
floor is literally crawling.
So just to recap, I'm in a pitch-dark cave that smells like death, with millions of bats that keep pooing on the floor, and me, infested with cockroaches that keep climbing up my trousers, looking for nests made out of bird spit. Film bird's nest soup, they said. It'll be fun, they said.
I will say this though, I'm not sure I'll ever eat bird's nest soup. That's not appealing. But what is appealing, to be honest, is cockroach. So let's give it a shot. No.
Show us.
No, not as tasty as I thought it would have been. I must admit, I always thought the bat cave would be just a little more glamorous than this. But if you have a look at the very top there where you see the beam of light, there's some bats circling there. And that's the bats starting to come back into the cave after being out all night. Now, these bats are tiny little bats. They're only about that big. And an interesting fact is each one of those bats consumes about 1,000 mosquitoes every hour. So if you have a mosquito problem at home, get yourself one of these bats.
Oh, look
Come on.
Yeah.
Don't move. I don't want to scare you. I don't want to alarm you. But we have a little friend hitching a ride on your hat.
Oh, really?
Oh my God, a tiny little bat. They're really, really cute. Oh my God.
Is this right literally on my hat?
He's literally right on your hat. I don't want to disturb him.
Yeah.
But oh my God.
I don't really mind.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's
I would
really
pet it, you know.
No, you don't want to touch it.
Are you sure it's not a tarantula?
Look at these.
Oh shit, don't say it.
No,
don't.
no.
Sorry. I swear. Is that okay?
It's not a tarantula. It's not.
All right.
Which brings up a point.
Okay.
Are there tarantulas in here?
Yeah.
Why did you tell me?
Shit. Shit.
Why didn't you tell me? So, Roman, these caves are really tall.
Yeah.
I would probably think about a 10-story high
Yeah, you're right.
cave. How do they actually get up there and harvest these?
They're using this kind of model.
Oh, okay.
This kind of
This
small
equipment.
model of equipment.
Yeah.
So they basically set up the rope, kind of the guidelines.
Yep.
And then people would climb up there, and then we'll stand up on the bridge here. This part of the bridge, and people would collect that using their hands. Okay.
Is this something I could try?
No, you're too heavy for that.
Too heavy?
Maybe next time.
Too heavy, not too fat, just too heavy.
No, just rephrase that. Yeah.
But it is dangerous, right?
Yeah, it is. People actually die doing this.
That's a shame. So now I don't want to do it now anyway. But in all seriousness, the harvesting of these nests is actually really good for the environment. Why? Because the government actually charges money and makes money from the harvesting of the nests. And that means they do everything they can to protect all the environment outside of this cave, because that's where all the birds feed. And if the birds didn't feed, they wouldn't make the nests. So long story short, the harvesting of these nests is great for the environment. Well, I'm glad I survived that. Now, on the way out of the caves, there's this little visitor center, and it has some models here that represent what we saw inside the cave. The first model here is of the apparatus that we saw that they use to collect the bird's nest. As you can see here, very fragile. I think it's very fragile, but they've been using it for centuries, so it must be just the way to do it, the way they like to do it. But this is a good indication or a good representation of what was very difficult to see in the cave, and that's the actual bird's nest themselves. And this is the white bird's nest. This is the ones that are more expensive, about $6,500 a pound. And the reason that they're more expensive is because this is mostly just the saliva, and that's great. We get to see that up close. The black nests here you can see also. They're a little different because mostly saliva, but there's a little fur and feathers in there, which makes them a little less expensive. The one thing they don't have up here is a model of the cockroaches, because I'm sure if anybody saw that before they went to that cave, it might not be so busy.
As my time in Borneo draws to a close, I finally get to meet the elusive orangutan. Some of them might even be smarter than me. So here it is. The big day is finally here. I finally get to see these orangutans up close and personal. So I've come to the Sepalak Rehabilitation Centre. Now these guys have been in operation for over 50 years, protecting and rehabilitating these amazing animals. The really great thing about this rehabilitation centre is it's just like being in the wild. In fact, it is the wild. It's 4,200 hectares of pure virgin forest, and it's a perfect place to watch the orangutans in their own habitat. So let me tell you a little bit about orangutans. Now, the word orangutan itself is actually made up from two words. Orang, meaning person, and hutang, meaning forest, so persons of the forest. And the orangutans are actually the primates that share the most DNA with humans, 97%. Some of them might even be smarter than me. The arm span can stretch much longer than they are high. Now this whole area was set up, this whole rehabilitation was set up in 1964 in order to protect these orangutans, to help rehabilitate orangutans who have been orphaned or injured or just displaced altogether. So what you can actually see behind me is the nursery of the rehabilitation centre. Let me get one thing straight here. This is not a zoo, it's very open. Now in here, they keep the younger orangutans between 5 to 8 years old who have either been separated from their mother or they've been held in captivity. And the whole purpose of an area like this is to rehabilitate the orangutans into using skills that they'll actually need in the wild. Sometimes orangutans who have been in captivity the whole time never leave the ground, so it's important that they have all these ropes here so that they can actually learn to swing like they would between the trees. Well, that was incredible. To see them that up close and personal just truly made my day. And I have to say, they are the funniest animals I've ever seen. I could have watched them all day long. You know, I've been here for almost a week now, and it took me coming to somewhere like this rehabilitation centre, to really see them up close and personal like that. And they are on the critically endangered list. And yes, I can see, because I've been here for over a week and I've hardly seen them, and they live here. Anyway, it's time for me to start my long trek home today. I wish I could have picked up one of those little baby orangutans and took it with me today, but no, that's not the right thing to do. Leave no trace, leave no trace, leave no trace. My trip to Borneo really drove home the need for ecotourism. And in scoring this visit, I've had to carefully differentiate between the ecotour experience, which was great, and the challenges presented by the location itself, which were concerning. Clearly, organisations like Borneo Ecotours and Sukao Rainforest Lodge have their work cut out for them. However, Borneo certainly has more than its share of unique experiences, and I'd recommend people visit even for this reason alone. So how does Borneo place on the Leave No Trace Eco Scorecard? Well, taking all factors into consideration, I have scored the overall experience an A-.
Well, unfortunately, my time here in Borneo has come to an end, and I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I've always wanted to come to Borneo. However, to be honest with you, it has left me more questions than answers. I'm so naive. I honestly thought before I came to Borneo that palm trees were being deforested. It's the complete opposite. The land is being deforested in order to plant palm trees. Now, up until this point, the episodes that we've done have highlighted how tourism can have an adverse impact on the environment. But here, it's the other way around. Borneo needs tourism. And in order to protect the land and the animals and the plant life, the economic impact of tourism needs to be greater than the economic impact of palm trees. Okay, and only then will the government prioritize the environment over the palm tree industry. How do we do that? It starts with you. You need to buy a flight, you need to come to Borneo, and you need to enjoy all these eco lodges that are out there. So come on over here, have a good time, but remember, when you leave no trace. I'm Richard Crawford. Until next time.